Hey guys, welcome to Mogul Movies, the podcast where we delve into the world of cinema and explore the films that they have left an incredible mark on our landscape. I'm your host, Devin, and I'm joined here today with Emmanuel and Ivan. Say hey guys.
Hello.
What's up, guys?
Today's episode, our first episode actually, we'll be delving into the critically acclaimed movie that is Good Will Hunting. You guys want to give a basic summary of what Good Will Hunting is, guys?
So, Good Will Hunting is kind of this movie that just follows this main protagonist. Well, you know, it's namesake of the movie Will Hunting, and he's just a very troubled person, you know, very traumatic past and all that, but he has the intelligence levels of a savant.
Yeah, he's a gifted genius. Beginning of the movie, you basically see him solve what is it? One of the math problems that made one of the professors at Harvard famous or something, right?
Yeah, they give him one of these equations that lead to a math Nobel Prize that has all the glory behind it. It doesn't have much significance other than revealing the fact that he is a genius.
It's a pretty good introduction, though. But we just follow him throughout the movie. He's a very troubled guy. He hangs out with in a pretty bad part of Massachusetts. That's where Harvard is. I think he's in Boston.
And honestly, the movie just goes to show a lot about, well, not the movie. It's mainly about how you can kind of keep yourself down, how you can throw yourself down for whatever reason because of your past. I mean, the whole movie, you could just see that he's really emotionally unstable, and he shows that through being so smug and arrogant towards everybody.
Yeah, and we think through the movie, he kind of does it as a defense mechanism. Is that as a kid in the movie, it was revealed that he was an orphan, and his own parents ditched him.
Yeah, he was absolutely vicious with the way he attacked people.
He went through 6 therapists, I think, probably more, to be honest.
He went through a good number of therapists by just finding the most creative ways to just tick them off.
It's actually pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie.
It was one of the better parts of the movie.
It's like the therapist tried to psychoanalyze him, but he ended up psychoanalyzing the therapist just so he could make them upset.
Yeah, he basically reverse Uno carded that. Just right back at him. It was pretty good. Yeah, I think he has photographic memory. I think one scene in the movie, he was just reading a book for the therapist he's about to meet, just learn about him, and so he could rip on him more efficiently. It's master hating.
Yeah, it was just it's just something that he did, just so he could, everything that he did, he just reads a book on it, and then he's just instantly a master at whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of reminds you of those anime power fantasies that they're always good at what they do, no matter what they do, in the amount of time that they need to do it.
And the fun part about it is kind of that's kind of real. The premise of the movie could honestly have happened. There are people savant levels of knowledge. That's why they're called savants.
Yeah, just 1 in a million genius kind of people. Just every day, pretty common.
And the thing is, we don't hear about most of them. In the movie, they even talk about, I forgot his name already, that one guy from India. He was basically the same story as our main protagonist in this movie. He was a genius, but he actually did go up to do stuff with his intelligence, well, I won't say he didn't do anything with it, but our main protagonist wasn't really looking to do anything with his gifts and intelligence. He actually wanted to do...
Oh, that's the main thing that we tackle here, right?
Yeah.
Because he is acknowledged by basically everyone in his life as this genius, this unparalleled person, can't be matched. But he really holds himself back because he doesn't really have any ambition. He doesn't know what he wants to do with it, and he's scared of the future, which I feel a lot of people can relate to these days.
Yeah, for me personally, I'm still kind of lost on what to do. I have a general idea of what I want to do in the future, but generally, I'm still kind of iffy about it. I'm not for sure cemented on any certain path I want to do. What about you guys?
Honestly,
that's a very how do you say it? Hard question to answer. You know what I'm saying? The movie did bring up a lot of themes that just made me think, what am I gonna do? And that's a really hard question to ask or answer. Well, both.
Yeah, I do feel like Goodwill Hunting does just portray a lot of the troubles that we face right now. Mostly just what we want to do and being scared of what we can do. Taking the opportunities to do what we want.
So it's like we're scared of trying new things. We don't know what's going to happen. It's like taking that leap. We don't know what's going to come after that leap. So we kind of hold ourselves back unconsciously.
Well, it does get a lot worse for the main character in Good Will Hunting because of his past trauma with being an orphan and being abused by the foster parent. It really does show how some situations can be worse than others, even if, you know, their choices are the same.
Yeah.
Can't really also negate the fact that there is a common theme of trauma among our, I guess, like, generation, you know? And I feel like the movie really hits on that topic when it comes to that trauma, as he didn't want to resolve it as he felt, you know, he felt like he couldn't. He was too scared for himself, and I feel like that's actually a common theme, like, it's a common occurrence.
Yeah, especially these days where trauma does feel like it's a lot more normal, as sad as that does sound. You know, a lot of people talk about how, oh, the right amount of trauma does make you funnier, and how most people, like, have competitions about how bad their lives are, how you try and one-up everyone by sarcastically or even not sarcastically just talking about how hard your life is.
It's just unnecessarily normalized, and this movie kind of shows the exact effect that normalization of trauma, or just rationalization of having trauma, could really affect somebody.
And even with the person in the movie who helped our protagonist, a therapist that when the professor's out, realized his talents. It was really hard to get through to him, even with that guy, the therapist himself.
Yeah, you can really see how interesting it is when they try and get close to the kid, how they try and do different things. Somebody who fundamentally understands another person, like the actual last therapist did with Will, taking a much different approach to the other people, trying to go back to their roots because he understands them. They're from the same place, and that's what played a pivotal point in how he understood him in the story.
Yeah.
It's honestly just great in the way that they, like the doctor just kind of, I really enjoyed the way that the doctor kind of, I guess, did therapy on him, therapist. It was so much fun just watching them kind of go at each other, like picking at each other, or at least first off when the doctor was picking at Will, you know, giving him a taste of his own medicine, you know, just so he can open up. And I thought that was a bunch of fun.
Yeah, it was like that, frenemies, enemies to lovers. It seems like they didn't like each other in the movie beginning that much. But later on, we see him in the ending. He literally writes a letter to the guy, thanking him, telling him how he's gonna fix his life around with a girl he met in the movie. Actually, we should talk about that probably.
It almost turned into like a father-son relationship. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, because the main protagonist was an orphan. It's almost as if the therapist guy took over his role as his father, giving him like what he didn't have in the past.
You can see how they start getting more personal with everything, like how at the end he starts calling him like son and stuff, getting like real touchy too, hugging, like letting him a shoulder to cry on that he didn't have before.
Just affection that can only be seen through like loved ones. And speaking about loved ones, this is a good like time to bring up like his girlfriend, I guess, is the main love interest that was shown in the movie, which I feel like I can speak for all of us. We were all rooting for, definitely, for them to actually be a thing.
Yes, I did want them to be a thing very badly, but our protagonist, because of his past traumas, it was really hard for him to like make that connection with her and to go any deeper. And you continue.
Oh yeah. So it just hurt a lot seeing him push her away, and then like learning, like the characters do go into why he pushes her away, later in the story, but seeing it unfold without knowing like the concrete reason why just makes you hurt so much because you're really invested in these characters at this point.
Yeah.
It's
I think his
just
girlfriend was like, you continue. Okay.
no, it's all good. It's just really a matter of like the way they really made the movie. It was for us to root for him, but you can kind of see that he was the problem the whole movie. And even though he is our main protagonist and he did redeem himself, you could see that he was a problem, as there was a moment in the movie, which was honestly really uncomfortable to watch from my perspective, where it was just kind of just a screaming match between him and his girlfriend just keeps telling him to please, you know, like
She tells him
kinda-
that she loves him, right?
yeah, give me like a sort of like how do you say this? Give me a sort of reason to as to why I should love you and all that, you know, as to why I said I love you to you. And all he does is actually retaliate against her and get really upset and almost like
He almost gets physical with her.
he almost
Like he
gets
pushes her
physical
against the
with her.
wall. And that reflects his character a lot. Just that one scene. Just that one scene reflects his all of his traumas is coming back. So he tries to like repel people away from him, right?
Yeah, it showed the defense mechanism that they brought up later in the story. It does get you more invested in the character and into the story, but it also shows how the help that he gets, it comes back to him. Like, getting closer to the therapist that he so vehemently denied at the beginning, like actually accepting it really came back to help him in the end, because that's what led him to, you know, become better, chase the girl, fix his life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's honestly just really like I think the movie's just a great portrayal of a relevant and common human experience where people kind of push each other away, and like this is normal. People push each other away. It's just in fear of abandonment, and it's just a common theme. And the way they portrayed it in the movie was honestly great, because you can learn to relate to the character, but he isn't so demonized to the point where, oh, you can't relate to him. They did it in a perfect way to show that he's a flawed person, even though with all this, I guess, talent, this extreme levels of talent when it comes to education and knowledge that he has, he's a flawed person, just like anyone else.
I guess this is the ironic part of the movie. This how this perfect, almost perfect portrayal of a human being can actually be one of the most flawed people you meet in your day-to-day life.
It's honestly just crazy, and I believe that they did a really, really good job on portraying it realistically, and it's scary how well the experiences that he has had and the feelings that he has felt are like, you know, close to experiences that I feel as if I had.
Yeah, they go very, very detailed in the step-by-step on how the people get more valuable and less valuable to each other as the movie goes on. Like, seeing the scene where, like, after the yelling argument that we brought up, how he tells her that he doesn't love her, that moment hits hard for every character and every person watching. Like, they did a good job just getting the raw emotion that they were feeling in that moment and just showing it to us, you know?
Yeah, I honestly really do understand, and that moment genuinely resonated with me, because I feel uncomfortable at those type of moments whenever I watch any movie, and that moment just felt, I didn't really know what to think during that moment, due to the fact that he has reasons to feel that way. Again, like I said, he wasn't demonized, but he was not the best person, and the way that he acted, or the way that he handled that situation, he didn't like handle it well, and it was just bad. And all I can say is it was just an uncomfortable moment, but I don't know how to feel about it, as his character has reasons to act that way.
One of my favorite parts of that movie was the therapist. Obviously, he talks to this our main protagonist being the smart man he is, but the therapist always somehow manages to make him think, just ponder about certain aspects he never had to really think about before, or maybe he's trying to force him to think about them now. Just like about his personal life, about what he actually wants to do. There's one part of the movie where he's talking about what do you want to do in your future, and our protagonist just tries to avoid it, giving not honest answers, just not really trying to give an honest answer, and he kicks him out. He just straight up kicks him out.
Which
And
I
I thought that
honestly
was
think was correct. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think that was correct for him to do. I mean, you know, he wasn't being truthful, and he's really, if he really looked into himself, like the reason why he didn't look into himself is because he didn't want to feel as a failure for the fact that he has all this talent and all this knowledge, and he just doesn't know what to do with it. And I feel like as if the reason why he rejected any help from the therapist is because he didn't want to look into himself and actually feel the feeling of uncertainty. You know, he just wanted to give him a smug response. And I feel like that's common nowadays, where people don't really want to look into themselves, and they just kind of want to reject, and they would rather feel just comfortable than uncertain and uncomfortable. You know?
yeah. Yeah, especially nowadays with social media, we have a lot of kids like just escaping there just to not deal with their problems. They just go there to escape like their actual realities. That and like film, there's a lot of escape mechanisms in today's world that I think people use instead of actually trying to get the help they need and look into themselves, as portrayed in the movie.
And it's honestly kind of sad because there's definitely been many experiences where where I've known somebody that has tried to just escape from real life just because it's not something that they want to face. Even it might be the most minuscule things. People, like, there's so many opportunities to escape from the things that you are facing that people now just take those opportunities, and they aren't comfortable with not doing what they should be doing, which is considering the the possibility of bettering themselves through actually facing their problems.
Yeah, there is this thing with social media that lets you self-insert on everything you want to do. You see all these people with great lives and great experiences, and you do want that for yourself, but instead of getting it for yourself, you just live vicariously through them, following their journey, following what they do, instead of actually improving yourself. That way, by avoiding the responsibility of your actions and wanting the of others in some way.
I also want to talk about our main protagonist's friends, because they in the movie were actually goats. His friends were very supportive, and they're honestly blunt. There's one point in the movie where our main protagonist is like, I just want to do these bricklaying for the rest of my life, just hang out with you guys, get drunk every day. And his friend straight up told him, if you do that, I'll straight up kill you. You're just throwing your potential away. You know what people would give to have what you have. And that hit pretty hard with me, personally.
That scene was probably the best scene in the movie for me. It really showed that it showed the awareness of his friends. Even though they're not smart and generally pretty dumb, they're not like part of the top population. They know what he has, and they know what he can do, and they know what he should do, but they just didn't push him to realize the entire movie until he was really struggling and he really needed it, which I think worked out really well.
Honestly, I feel like more people need friends like that. Friends that actually realize that in their own situations, they wouldn't want that upon anybody else. There's this point in the movie that was made between the therapist and between the main character where it was like, there is honor in working a job such as just being a bricklayer or a mechanic because, you get to service other people. But then the therapist kept saying that, people work those jobs so they can have a better, how do you say this? Like, so their children can have better educational opportunities.
Yeah.
But, and that kind of calls back to the fact that parents do that but it's also rare. Like the situation that the main character was put in was just a really complicated situation, as he had no parents, yet he had these friends that would die for him, that would do anything for him. And there's also the problems there that connect to the real world, that not a lot of people have friends that would do that, and not a lot of people have parents that would do that. And
I forgot what I was gonna say. Hold on. I was gonna expand on your topic, but it just left my brain.
You're good. It's more of a matter of just how, like, again, to call back to the movie was great. I feel as if they portrayed such a realistic situation, even with having, such an, I guess, well, it's not even unrealistic, as it could be a true premise, but it's uncommon. And they portrayed that uncommon situation to relate to the masses, which talked about social situations now, and I believe that they did it greatly. It was perfect, honestly.
I agree. The way they made this character that most of us can't really relate to, but they somehow made him one of the most relatable characters I've ever seen in fiction, personally. Dealing with his mental struggles. He doesn't want to acknowledge the position he's in. He doesn't want to acknowledge any of these problems he has. And when he had his girlfriend, he straight up lied about having brothers because he didn't want her to know that he was actually just an orphan. And he never wanted to show her that he actually lived in a rundown shack, because he just didn't like that part about him.
Well, it just shows how they do build in the flaws in these characters, well, flawlessly. Every character has their own gripe with another character or their past, and that just makes them a lot more human, even if they are all geniuses or professors. Having the flaws that make them feel so human just makes it so realistic and relatable. It brings everything down to earth and makes it a better watching experience.
Honestly, I agree, and just you bringing up that point just made me realize that, honestly, I didn't enjoy the start of the movie all that much, because it just felt like we're just gonna watch another smug, arrogant character, just be, mean to everybody. He's just being dumb, an idiot.
Just watch this really smart guy flaunt his talents on everybody. I don't know.
Well, not just that, but just kind of watch a movie of an arrogant, I guess you could say, lowlife. But as you watch through the movie, as he gets the help, you can see that he turns from this person that has a pretty big rap sheet when it comes to criminal records into this aspiring great guy who seeked help for his problems. I mean, he didn't seek help, it was more kind of imposed on him, but the fact that he got help turned him into a much better person. And you could see that he was smug and arrogant and just rude to everybody for his own reasons. It kind of goes to show that everybody has their own story.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people nowadays who do suffer from similar circumstances should go out and get help, but I think a lot of them are just scared just to do that, just because they don't want to acknowledge their problems head on. They don't want to face their challenges.
Which is honestly another common theme amongst our generation nowadays, because there's been countless of times where I feel like I've experienced somebody that is in drastic need of help, not seeking the help that they really deserve. It's only
Of course, in this generation also, needing help and getting help is often, well, not glorified, but made fun of. Having trauma is almost trendy nowadays. Everyone can claim to some sort of bad experience that they've gone through. And translating that into coping, mostly in this generation at least, coping comes in the form of humor, trying to make everyone laugh at it instead of actually accepting and moving past it, which I feel like is a little bit troubling, because this is something that we see at the beginning of the movie. When the main character goes around, he's generally very hateful and spiteful to everyone who tries to help him, but he plays it off in a very funny way and humorous way. I can see happening with most of the young people in this generation as well.
Mhm.
It's
This
honestly.
is not. You can say it. My bad.
Oh no, go ahead. You're good.
I was just gonna say like. Wait, what was I gonna say? Oh, you go. I lost my train of thought.
Nah, you're good, man. It's just more of it's sad to genuinely think about how common it is, and to get, I guess, to like hover over the topic of self-harm and suicide, that leads to a lot of that. You know, it's really saddening, and it's just great that this movie wasn't another movie about self-harm and suicide and seeking help. And like the glorification of seeking help but it not working. It was a movie where seeking help did work, or just having help did work. I mean, you can see that at the end of the movie. You can kind of get the happy ending, and it like that you wanted, that has been building up to the whole entire movie. As to work off of a point that was made earlier, there was a scene which was regarded the best scene by Ivan, just where his friend said he'll kill him if he doesn't get out of the situation that he's in now, and how he doesn't care if he just leaves and doesn't say goodbye or anything. He just wants him to live a better life. And at the end of the movie, you can see that through all the struggles that he's made, the fact that he faced himself and did this, just decided to do better for himself. He did exactly what his friend told him to, what his best friend told him to just leave, no goodbyes, and live his own life and live it to the maximum. And he gets with the girl that he so horribly pushed away. And all I hope is for the best for this character. The movie had made me so invested in this character that it was just great.
Yeah, the way that they make you attached to the characters works really well, because it does get you intrigued with how this person is so smart and why he doesn't live to his full potential. But through the therapy scenes and slowly revealing about his traumatic past, and then seeing how the therapist manages to break the shell and get closer to him and fix him, it's a really good way of getting you invested into the characters and into the story, and then eventually the resolution that makes you want to watch more.
And it's kind of sad that there's no second, or like no, I guess, Marvel like post-credit scene, because it would have been nice to see them together, man. I'm not even gonna lie.
It was a follow-up.
Devin was absolutely livid at the fact that there wasn't an after-credit scene where he gets to talk to the girl. That last scene of the car fading away with a couple seconds left in the movie left me heartbroken, because I really wanted to see that.
It heavily implied he was. Well, it's not heavily implied. I think it's like canon that he was going to California where his girlfriend moved. Well, not girlfriend, but complicated situation. He was going out there to make up, and it just cut off. I wanted to see the resolution. I wanted to see it in, but I guess it's more of something like for us as the viewer to interpret. Just him getting better, and then we can assume he, in the end, did fix up his mistakes with her.
Yeah, but the end is also ambiguous, man. It makes me hate the fact that there's a point that he brought up in the movie where, like, what if they go to California or whatever, and like in his argument with her, where they go to California and then she kind of just dumps him, and he's going all the way to California for her, and imagine she already has her own life. Like, that'd just be heartbreaking, dude. And just thinking about that kills me.
I want to say I don't know if we brought up this topic, maybe I forgot, but the fact that in the movie he refuses to like tell her I love you, maybe just like because he thinks I'll be the final nail in the coffin, just like dedicating himself to something he's not sure about, because in the past he was never told that someone loves him. He was never told any of that.
Oh, hang on. You can go.
Okay. Dude. I mean, he's scared. I mean, his whole life he's been abandoned by the people that he should probably love, and I mean, I understand why he's scared. Like why he's so scared of that dedication, of that, I guess, attachment to her.
Well, he does actually reveal a little bit of what like his thought process is before the yelling argument that they have. He does talk about how she thinks like she's gonna leave him because he lied about his financial situation, like where he's living. He lied about having parents, and he's really just scared that she's gonna leave him for someone who's more well put together, like how he mentions another guy who's got a degree in Harvard and makes a good amount of money. He's just genuinely scared that someone close to him can hurt him, which is completely understandable. It happens to a lot of people. It's a fear that's just implanted in us in our childhood when we don't get properly taken care of.
Most definitely.
It's kind of just crazy. Like I honestly, I love that movie. Like I tried to watch it before, I guess by myself, and it was like I honestly I got bored after like 5-10 minutes. But like I give it a good 8.5 to 9 out of 10 because it relates such a like it relates a relatable experience.
We've said a lot that this movie was great, and we don't just say that just to repeat it for no reason. We legitimately mean this movie was a great film that attacks these themes very well.
Absolutely. Especially highlighting the fact that it's over 20 years old and it still has such an accurate handle on these problems.
Yeah, the fact that it's so relevant even today, yeah.
Yeah, it's genuinely impressive, the fact that it can stay relevant and accurate even after that.
It's honestly just kind of crazy how I guess it's not even like our generation's thing, but it kind of has a past to it kind of shows the fact that in the past like it still happens. Like it hasn't changed a bit, and I feel like that can only like what it just makes me wonder, what could we do, man? Like what could we do to change that?
I like to expand upon that fact that, like, yeah, over the last 20 years, it still hasn't changed, but I still think a lot of people that go through these problems think, like, it's only happening to them, so they don't want to, like, open up to anyone about it because they think no one will understand, which is just not the case at all. You should always get that help you need, which I think was what the movie is trying to tell us.
A big part of the problem that happened in the movie that could be solved in cases in real life as well is being more open and honest and trusting in general, which is a little bit counterproductive with the, you know, trauma that some people face. But getting over that little like hump of just like the small lies, like having 13 brothers like in the movie, that wasn't a necessary lie. It wasn't something that necessarily brought them closer or pushed them apart, but just that little lie that could have made the difference between actually having more or less insecurities in the relationship.
And it's not just that. That little lie shows how insecure he is about himself and his past. Just how he doesn't want to say that. And that also just relates back to how insecurity is so common now. There's just so many themes that this movie's covered that are perfect for a modern day, like, kind of comparison. It's honestly just kind of scary how much there's parallels between like experiences that I've heard about and I've learned about that are just now happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I just only wish that more people understood what could be done about such a problem, about such a, like, you can even say that it's just a widespread epidemic. Just people normalizing genuine insecurity and trauma, and it's only making a theme of self-hatred more and more common.
It's an epidemic where we have cures, we have solutions, but most people just don't think they're out there for them. They don't know because they don't want to open up about what they have. It's like it's as if you had COVID, but you just don't want to tell anyone you actually have COVID because you're scared that what they will do, scared of what they will say.
Well, it's so widespread at this point that it's almost normalized. So it's not like it's just like you have COVID and you don't want to tell anyone. It's you have COVID, everyone else also has COVID and flaunts it to the point where it's almost like maybe having COVID isn't such a strange thing. which
Yeah.
is inherently a problem in it itself.
Yeah, because you could also have people just thinking, oh, maybe, I guess to use an analogy that is COVID, like, or metaphor, sorry, just, oh, maybe having COVID is like cool, man. Like, that's not that cool. I mean, if you ask me, I don't think that's that cool. But that's kind of the mindset that people are having, where it's just like, oh, maybe having this traumatic experience, it's kind of cool because everyone else, I mean, it's starting to turn into a trend that's only being, like, infatuated, or not infatuated, but just only being inflated by social media and the way our youth uses social media.
Oh yeah, I think the themes in this movie definitely relate heavily with the social media. Social media has definitely driven it to a higher level than probably what this movie originally had it portrayed as, but it's still very much a big problem that we need to tackle.
I feel like just the introduction of social media onto our generation, as well as the increasing amount of experiences that were shown in the movie amongst our parents' generations, kind of only worked to further like the degradation of our healthy minds, of just making us, like, our mental health just degrade. And that's kind of how our generation is. I feel like anyone who you talk to, although this applies for any person, they have their own story. But I feel like there's a lot of people now that just have stories that are traumatic. Like, they come from some sort of traumatic origin, some sort of something, and that just kind of, it's awfully common.
Yeah, overall, the movie did do a really great job in doing, spreading the message, getting you involved, getting you aware of what's happening and what can fix it.
It's just, the whole movie is just be a great reference to what you should do. You could see that they took him from a troubled person to now, to like, not now, but I guess now, in the meaning of from a troubled person to what the viewer hopes that he turned into at the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
It just shows that help, or seeking any sort of help, or just having a shoulder to cry on, someone that you can open up to, can really help you get over yourself and your own trauma and problems. And it's just simply opening up.
Yeah, I think that's the final conclusion we made about the story, is just that you have problems, there's insecure problems, you should just seek help. You shouldn't try to keep it to yourself or try to extrapolate it on other people about your problems, because most likely other people will be able to relate to and help you just to do that with you. But overall, I think we did all enjoy the movie. I think Manuel already gave his rating.
Very much. I would highly rate it as well. Probably 8.5, 9 range. I did enjoy it very much.
I think I think I give a similar rating. I think we all have similar scores. That movie was very good, and the themes it hit on were very relevant. And definitely recommend everyone who listens to this to give it a watch. Most definitely, if you have not.
It's a great movie overall. And, well, this concludes Mogul Movies.
First episode. I think it was pretty good.
Lovely.
Alright, well, we'll see you guys in the next episode. This is Manuel.
This is Ivan.
This is Devin.
See you guys next time.